All right, welcome back. This is video number 7 in the series, and this is going to be the retro for the entire series, videos 1 through 6, where we put together a plan, we cut the plan down, we do a POC, and then we develop for a few weeks, and then we release. And all those videos are out, so go check those out. The project's out. It's not much of a game, but it is a finished release, a finished plan, and that was the whole goal. So I'm really happy about that. But we'll dive into that a little bit more here as we get into the retro, and I'll show you my retro notes. Hopefully I can keep your attention. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm only going to read the highlighted sections, and so we'll kind of go over the topics there. Quick note is if you want to read any of this, just pause the screen. Let me slowly scroll through some of this now so that I make sure I don't skip over any of it. A lot of this is just personal notes, right? For myself. So read into it what you will. I don't think I say anything dicey, but you never know. So first one, how did we do on our estimates? I did really, really well, at least for all the planned work. All the planned work I finished ahead of schedule. And I think, obviously I mapped out a very simple game. And so there was not a whole lot of surprises in there for me. And it wasn't till the end, the last few iterations, where there was a bunch of like little tiny stuff that I needed to, all the nuance work, sounds, music, details, tutorials, all of that kind of stuff. Just things I did not think of in the plan. But lesson learned is I'm going to have all of this stuff, all this unplanned things, because I did document in my plan. Everything that I did was unplanned. So I'll be able to come and look at those things in my next one and say, okay, let's account for tutorials, at least, tips and things, whatever it may be. So there was a lesson learned. Estimated plan was about 25 sessions, and I finished it in 25 sessions. So for all the time I saved in the planned work, I kind of used that up at the end, which it worked out fine. Pretty happy with it. So we can take a quick look at my milestones. We've seen them enough in all the other videos, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in here. You got the POC, go, no go, a bunch of the feature work in here. Spent tons of time on the blueprints and modules. It's like sort of the highlight of the game is my 3D printer, right? And then a bunch of last minute unplanned stuff, and I've got that all documented, so I'll be able to come back and grab those notes. You can see I have estimated 0, but I actually spent 4 days on the release because I had this whole week to basically finish this up. And I've been trying to do videos once a week. And so I spent this whole week doing the obfuscation portion and getting that release going. So, and I haven't released something in a really long time. The whole point of this project was, just, dang it, get out there and release something. And it's been so long that I almost forgot how to do it. But Godot Valet helps with that. A little plug. Okay, so we are now doing the retro, and next thing after this retro is to release the video. So I'm getting excited, a little nervous actually, because I'm gonna dump all this stuff out there, and you guys are gonna shit all over me, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel after that. So anyway, wrong page. Retro. There we go. Okay, so yeah, really great on the estimates. Next question, did I achieve my project goals? We have them listed here. So I consider it I consider did I release a simple game and did I find the fun? I failed, but that should be a 2-part thing. I did manage to release a simple game, so I did succeed at that. And but did I find the fun up front? I think, and this is going to get, I think we're going to get into this a little bit more, but what I did was I found the core game loop and some content, and I said, well, that seems fun. So and for this project, I just want to make sure I have some kind of fun core loop in there. But then when I got into all the cuts, I cut out a whole bunch of content, and then what I was left with wasn't fun. It's not fun. I've got like a cool upgrade, in air quotes, upgrade module system, but you can do nothing with it, and I've only got 3, so it's not fun. And that's a problem, and it's a miss, and so that's considered a failure, and we're going to address that in the next few projects. What the next goal? Learn to design and develop reusable systems. So what I want is for my velocity to increase, so I can increase my capability of releasing games. I can do more with less time, um, and but I didn't really do that in this project. There was no system where I said, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to use this in the next game." Like you would think that this would happen more frequently, which is like, "Oh, a high score system, so I'm going to make this reusable." Um, and what you end up doing is you slap it together for this project, and then the next project you do that needs a high score system, you just redo the whole thing because, well, it's got different themes. I have a few different high score attributes that I'm going to use in there. Um, and maybe I have networking code in one and not the other, and so you just end up rewriting them. So I don't know. So I'm still not creating reusable components, and I'm not really sure how to improve in that space. I'm really happy with my code, my architecture. At least for these simple games. So that's an opportunity. I don't know if it's going to be a priority though, because I think my priorities are going to shift. We'll get to that in just a second. So next one, last one, properly plan an entire release with all things considered. So I consider that a pretty big success. Um, I think that I probably I overshot in terms of coming up with this huge plan, because it was a huge plan. It was 120 days, and then I chopped that down to 30. But it was still a really large project where I didn't know what the fun was. I didn't vet the fun. I didn't post anything that said, "Hey, do you think this idea would be fun?" And here's a 10-15 second clip of the core fun part of the game. I didn't do any of that. So I took a shot in the dark on a fun idea, and I failed because one, I didn't have the fun. And I knew going into it that my fun was questionable because if you look at my design doc, I still had an outstanding task for evaluating the fun, and I never addressed it. I just started the project, so that was a big mess. But um, pretty happy with the plan overall, and the game design document process and all that. So I plan to use that, but I also plan to uh, iterate on it so that for like my toy objects, my toy projects, like we're going to have a micro plan for those, and I may release like multiple toys at once kind of a thing, or a series of toys back to back, and I'll have micro plans for those. And then if one of those sort of pops off, we'll talk about, well, what's the next level plan that I should put together. Should be maybe something that builds on that. But then just keep growing the plan until we get up to those 30, 60, 90-day plans. But we'll get into it a little bit more here at the end, but I really need to start reducing the scope and the plan sizes. So what did we learn? Big long-winded thing here, so I'm not going to get into that, but it's kind of what I'm just saying right now is that I need my scope of my projects to significantly reduce. I learned that in all of my other projects I just did deep dives, where not deep dives, where I'm mining for the fun. And I realized that I have been veering off course with all my old projects by starting with a couple abstract ideas, going, oh yeah, that seems like fun, and just add content, and how could it not be fun? It's just like every other game out there, but it's with a twist. And and like I've said before, you get into that truck pulling contest where the weight of your project just overwhelms you, and you can never get to the end because as a solo dev, it's just way too difficult to drag all that forward. You add complexity, but you also add the fact that you're mining for fun, and you're doing it in a strip mining like fashion, where you're just like in Minecraft, you're just digging a tunnel straight through the mountain, and you're just going to go and hope that you hit those resources, and you hope that you're on the right level, and you just go and go and go, and maybe you get lucky, but probably you don't, and probably you get tired and bored and need to change directions or do something different. And so instead of the strip mining approach where you just hope to get lucky, I really want to switch gears and start focusing on searching for the gold vein that's out there, and then mining it, and because you're going to get the most value, the most bang for your buck by doing that. And what are the techniques for finding that gold vein instead of just making it a random lucky thing. So that's something that that I'm learning and that we're going to work on in the next project. Okay. Yeah, and this last tip right here, it's not a tip. I'm sharing my insights. I'm not trying to suggest any of these things. Sometimes I'll slip up and it'll come across that way. But something that I've learned is that I will end up making games faster by not making games, meaning by focusing on my dev and my game design and my pipeline and those skills. If I do that, sure, I'm going to learn a little bit about game dev and I'm going to make some small projects and things. I'm not focused on making the big game, the dream game, or even small games. What I'm focused on is getting good enough that I could do those things instead of trying to do those things and realizing I'm not good enough to do them. I guess I'm just switching things around, doing it the right way finally. It only took like half my lifetime, which is quite a bit. So hopefully you can learn from my hard lessons sooner rather than later. So what was the full blown path worth it? Absolutely, and I'll continue to do that. I think the GDD was definitely worth it, and the cutting things down was definitely worth it. It got me to where I wanted to be. Lots of lessons learned, and here we are, kind of digging through them. Next one, why did we love? What do we love about the plan project process? This project plan process was a few things involved. One was these videos and having you guys as an accountability partner, and the other part was having a goal of let's create a plan and let's deliver on that plan and learn some things in that space. So those two things were really good at me starting to think about how I'm going about what I'm doing, how I'm going about it wrong, why is it wrong, what else can we do to improve it. And so I just spent lots of cycles realizing, oh, this is where I've gone wrong. This is the opportunity. This is how I can change it going forward. And then the other thing that took me to the next level was that as having these videos was that like, well, I better think about this a little bit more so that I can talk about it a little bit. I can write notes and organize my projects so that I can share it with others a little bit. And so it helped me sort of do a little bit more of a deeper dive and spend more time thinking on those things. So very useful. And so I guess I would highly recommend it. I don't know what I'm highly recommending, but I guess it's an exercise like this where you just cut out a bit of time, focus on your sort of your design skills, I guess. And okay, so I'll leave it at that. That's what I'm recommending. Um, and I say here, I used to feel like I knew everything because we were watching all these YouTubers and a lot of them say all the same things. I even say the same things in comments. I'm always preaching about how you should, work on smaller projects, but I never do it, right? I always start that way, but then I go, oh, this is great. This is gonna be awesome. Just add content, and but it never works out. And I think I felt like I knew what the right thing was, but now as I'm running through this exercise, I feel like I know what the right thing is finally. And a part of that is because I'm doing it. So, but there you go. Okay. So what are my thoughts on the series and the video? The whole thing had a huge game jam sort of vibe to it. I had lots of just extra energy to work on the project, which I normally don't. Normally I'm getting tired in the afternoons because I work all day and I spend 3 hours in the morning, or super early morning, and so I don't really have a lot of gas in the rest of the afternoon. But for whatever reason, doing this format, I found extra energy and excitement for it. And I already touched on the other point about just really doing more deep dives on thinking and learning. Anything else? Okay. And then next one, did we learn enough from this exercise? Tons. And probably touched on some of this stuff. So let's see. Learning that delivering short, tight, committed iterations increases velocity a great deal for sure. You can get into the zone a lot faster when you don't have to think about the design. You just have to worry about coding and checking off things. We've heard that quite a bit from other YouTubers and game developers. And then next one, gray boxing is super tight. Short is great for tight, short iterations, but it's not intended to go beyond that. So if you're on 3 months, 6 months, and you still have placeholder art and code, it could be a very good indicator that you're running amok or that you're pulling a very heavy load. Um, and and the reason for that is that if you get that far and you're still gray boxing, still working with gray boxes, it probably means that you haven't locked in the fun and you can commit to the art yet. And if that's kind of true, you may put your hand on that eject handle for a little bit and start thinking about some of these things that you could do to course correct. You can still salvage a project like that, and I'm going to be looking at that because I have some of these big old projects that have 6 months, years into them. How I might approach them with a different mindset, more intensity, and getting them out of those gray box phases and getting them out into the public so that I can get the feedback and they can go, this game sucks, I have no interest in it, and I can just pull the plug, right? Versus continuing to mine for that fun. Just go, yep, I'll find it eventually. If I just keep changing and changing this feature and changing that mechanic and adding content, it will be fun. I will make it fun. I feel like a very few rare people can grind it out until it is fun. And we're seeing more and more of that, I think, as we all sort of raise the boat together on YouTube. We're all learning at the same pace of what not to do, but we just need to see some demonstrations of this happening, of people succeeding, of people going, wait, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pull the plug and I'm going to come over here and crank out a bunch of small stuff and it's going to work. And I'm hoping I can demonstrate that. And if I can do it, you can do it. And here's some working proof of how it was done. This is kind of the way I'm thinking about it. So next one, I need to find veins of fun versus aimless mining for fun. Already talked about that. I need to have already found the fun in advance of designing 30+ day plans. Yeah, and that, again, get smaller and smaller, smaller. Find the fun mechanic, juice it up, and then share it with people and get reactions. And do that with a number of mechanics, not just, two in a massively large POC, but little tiny things, and then build on those, build on the momentum. We see this on a lot of really successful game developers. They will share some mock-up art of something. They'll do some animations, some really sort of tricky animations that aren't game code, and then they'll just get reactions. And generally, good artists can get really great reactions, and then you just got to back that up with some code. But so we're gonna experiment with that. Next, I need to find the fun with toys, so we're gonna experiment with toys. I need to practice what I'm bad at if I want to get better. And that's just, and the next point there is just, if you want to get good at finishing games, you need to practice finishing games. And you cannot practice finishing games if you're working on a 2-year-long game that's never going to end. So practice what you suck at, basically, is what it comes down to. And the more you practice it, the faster you're going to go on your bigger projects, right? It's just obvious. It's obvious, but it's really hard to do. It's hard to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to work on a Pac-Man clone, because that's it's probably not simple enough, but you know what I mean. And he's just like, why am I doing this? There's 100 Pac-Man clones. What is my goal? Well, your goal isn't to make Pac-Man. Your goal is to finish a project, or your goal is to get better at art or better at sound. And you're using Pac-Man as a way to do that. You don't care about the game itself. You care about what you're practicing. Okay, enough said. So, and this is what I'm doing. Again, I get preachy, but that's not my intention. My intention is to say this is how I have to make my adjustments. So what are my personal goals now? Have they changed? My lifelong goal in game development has always been just make game and get rich. So that I can continue doing what I love, which is playing games, making games. Well, that's it. The list is very short. It's a misguided goal, because why is it misguided? I mean, it's simple. It's what we want to do. We love doing. We enjoy the creative process, right? The designing, the mashing up of ideas, and then seeing those come to life, and then delivering it to others and getting the reactions. And that's really where it's at, is can we bring joy to other people's lives? And so that's always what I've been after. And I think I think I want to do that. I really want to change the way I go about doing it so that I can actually do it, so I can get to that point, because I haven't been getting to that point anywhere near enough, especially with how much time and investment I have in this space. Um, I again, 2 months of project sitting on the shelf, or it's so gray boxed and ugly that nobody cares to play it. So we're gonna fix that. Um, and so I guess when I talk about what are my goals now, it's not just to make a game; it's to be a really good game developer. And to do that, we need to get to finished games, really good finished games. And the way to do that as an indie developer is to make really small, good games. Okay. And build on that. Okay. So, what else? My upcoming goals are to be refined, but I just covered all that. I want to be very critical, very deliberate with where I'm spending my time and my effort. So, we're just really going to hammer out some great goals around toys and whatnot. Um, so we'll see. So that's coming up. Um, so I've got a summary here. We've already covered all of that, so I don't have to go over it. So what's next? Next is I'm actually going to release a series, which is a scary thought. I'm not ready to even talk about that because my face is getting red just thinking about it. So we're going to release the series, and then we're going to dive right into the next plan. So I'm probably going to spend about a week kind of hashing out all the possibilities, and then I'll have another. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll probably do a kickoff where I say this is the series I'm going to do, um, and then start doing weekly videos for the series, and then release those at the end. Probably, or we'll be looking at, I don't know, anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, right? And then I'll have all that entire series come out all at once again. So something along that's the format I'm going for. Um, so yeah, so maybe I'll see you in a week. Maybe I'll see you in a month. I'm not sure, but definitely looking for feedback. Along the way, if you see things that I'm making bad decisions or saying something stupid or wrong, please correct me. Please help me out. I'm just trying to learn and grow like the rest of us. And hopefully you found some of this helpful. Thank you. Cheers. Bye. See you in the next one. Okay, this is going to be awkward if I can't get my mouse over there. Okay. Bye.